Holy fucking shit, I've been recording all day. And I've got one more box, which I think is only one knife opposed to two. I think I only had those two temp trades that... Whoa, hello, sir. Sorry, Yeah, your car is so loud, buddy. Okay. Again, check out the coffee in the description. Ko-fi, whatever. A little bit goes a long way. It helps me cover the overhead cost of doing temp trades, shipping to other people, blah, blah, blah. Financially supporting me is great because this is a lot of work, and I do it because I love it, but not because it makes me money. But if you gave me money, it sure would make it easier. Also, subscribe. What the... There's just so much tape in here. It's taped to the inside of the box. It's like, I hate it when people do that, but it's also very secure, and I think people doing it, I go, yes, great, thumbs up. I hate getting it out of the box. All right, what do we got in here? We have a taco case that I am figuring out how to get out of this bubble wrap. Fuck it, I'm just gonna rip it. What a shame. What a fucking... I'm sorry, bubble wrap. Taco case. What the fuck? Dong Sheng? I don't know what this brand is. I've never heard of it. It also says DC, but it... I don't know. It doesn't... I don't know why there's a C. That's what I thought. Okay. This is not a knife by whoever Dong Sheng is. This is the titanium Maryn. The Maryn. I wanted to say it's the Balisong that started it all in Machine Wise's career, and the answer is it was like maybe kind of sort of. Here, let me first weigh this. The Maryn clocks in at 4.34. That's heavier than I thought. So, if you've seen videos about Machine Wise, he has made various knives, and he made them in a vacuum, not trying other people's knives, which is kind of how it got its own character, particularly how fucking long they are. Before he made the Maryn, he made some weird fuckos like the Delta 50, which I have up there. I think I've made a video on it. If I haven't, I really should. And then it got, his designs got much more streamlined and much more refined, and he came up with the Maryn. And the Maryn is a titanium channel Balisong. It's got a speed channel, quite a decent speed channel. Jimping is kind of existing. And the Maryn blade, well, the Maryn blade is still really good. Some people love the Maryn handles. We'll see. I also have in here Opus and Seraph, there it is, to compare it to. Okay. So first things first, one thing I've noticed from videos, Maryn rings. It's the speed channel. And it's weird because there are some knives that have speed channels that have like the weird sort of empty dull sound, but this one rings. Tolerances, really solid. But yeah, the biggest thing that I'm noticing is that it's actually quite a bit heftier than the Opus and the Seraph. It feels really good though. It's like, it fans neutrally-ish, maybe slightly handle bias. I find that the Maryn handles feel more square than they look. Like, yeah, there's a little bit of rounding here, but I guess something about these chamfers are just not very soft, and so I feel the angle is kind of hard, so it feels more square, whereas the Opus and the Seraph don't. They feel very, like, round, almost. It's funny because the Opus feels so much, and this is on a Maryn blade too. My Seraph Maryn blade with zippy lightweight, so it's pretty light. But like the Maryn being, what was it again? Like 4.3, I think. 4.34, and the Opus is 3.99. But because of how the Opus's blade is, it like almost feels heavier. Just like the blade pulling you makes it feel heavier. In this case, the handles are heavier. The blade is lighter than the Opus, but it's just funny that like how things feel versus that reality. And like the fucking Sholo is like 4.6, and I'm like, how is that 4.6? So, Maryn, very agile, albeit heftier. So I never realized the Maryn just weighed more than the Seraph and the Opus. And, you know, there's no weight system on this one, but like Maryn blade on, sorry, I should compare it to this. The Maryn blade on the Seraph handles, I want to say it was like 3.88 last time I weighed it. Yeah, like 3.84. You know, it can change depending on how it's, whatever. It's like, you know, it's a kitchen scale, so it's not like the most hyper accurate ever. It's like expensive. So comparing this blade on these handles, this one is certainly heftier. Maryn handles much heftier by, oh god, like half an ounce. Shit, yeah, this is like 8.8 and this is like 3.4. So it's like, yeah, half an ounce. And I feel that in the sense that while it fans neutrally, it's certainly way more handle heavy. Likewise, as I've talked about before, the Opus has a blade that like pulls you when you're doing tricks, when you're doing rollovers, you're doing fans, you're doing whatever. The Maryn blade is light enough that it doesn't. It's a very fine flipper. And it's a shame that it got discontinued because I guess he just wanted to move on and do other things. That said, the Seraph was an evolution on the Maryn, and the Opus was an evolution on the Seraph, but they didn't discontinue the Seraph because everyone loves the Seraph, and if they did discontinue the Seraph, they would probably lose a buttload of money, so why would they ever? But as you can see with the hole cutouts, the Opus blade, if you look at the blade design of the Opus and the Maryn, they're much more similar, albeit they feel very different. The Maryn blade is lighter than the Seraph blade. The Opus blade, I think it's the same weight as the Seraph blade, but doesn't feel that way. I'm not 100% sure, but like it just feels a lot heftier. You can also see that the Opus has 2 major hole cutouts, whereas the Maryn has 3. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Oh, bite side. Speed channel. Let's compare the speed channel length of the Opus. Shorter. Opus handles are definitely lighter. Okay, I did not expect the Maryn blade to be that sharp. That is on me. Whew. You know, when I saw the Maryn, I thought from watching pictures and videos, or looking at pictures and videos of the Maryn, that it would just be a less satisfying Seraph. And I'm wrong. It's different. It's a machine-wise knife, and it feels like a machine-wise knife, but it's heavier, and it's not bulkier. Like, the Slift T handles are bulky. The Maryn handles are basically the exact same dimensions as far as I can tell. These handles are indeed the pre-evolution of these two. And the Slift T is off of the Delta 4 into the Delta 50 into the Delta 60, which I've only seen a single one that Kumio has. And then it became the Delta Slifty V1, which he only made 50 of. And now there's the Machine-Wise Slifty V2, which is kind of the oddball of the bunch. There's also Maryn Light, which is made of aluminum instead of titanium. And then the Maryn Light became the Prisma, or as some people early on called it, the Squarin, because the Prisma is just so square. I don't like the Prisma V1. It's like, I'm going to be honest, I just don't like it. And, yeah, there's merit to it. I just don't like it. Blades are, machine-wise blades, all of them are great. I don't love the Slift T blade, mostly just because of the weight distribution, but it's a good blade, As far as blades go, it's not like there's anything wrong with it. It's just a preference thing. I just don't think that the Prisma V1 handles really, I don't think they're good. I think they're uncomfortable, and they're square, and the holes don't feel good. And if you see the hole patterns of the Prisma, it actually lines up with the Maryn. So the Maryn almost kind of went into two different directions, where the Maryn had a Maryn Light, which then became the Squarin, aka the Prisma, which then of course became the Prisma Pro. And so you can see how the Prisma Pro, it's less the Prisma V2, which was earlier in the 6061 aluminum, instead of now, which is the 7075 aluminum. I know it's confusing. The Prisma Pro is basically what the Maryn Light is, as far as I can tell. I don't know what the aluminum quality was for the Maryn Light. I've never flipped one. Maybe I will someday. I don't know. I'm not really intending to ever try and get one, but I I actually specifically got this Maryn so I could clean it up and sell it for a profit. Because I paid cash money for this. Now that I'm flipping it, I mean, I'm still going to sell it. But now that I'm flipping it, I'm like, there is a lot more merit to keeping a Maryn than just keeping a, like, oh, I have a, the way I see it, if you had a Seraph O and you had an Opus, they feel the same, honestly, legitimately. Especially with the inserts, the Seraph O, not that this is a Maryn, but if you had an Opus blade on Seraph handles, it just feels like an Opus blade on Opus handles. The handles are different, yes, of course. There are holes in this one, but it doesn't feel that different. They weigh the same, and so if you plug up the holes, it's like marginally heavier, but more or less the blade really defines how it feels. In this case, the Opus blade just has so much weight. The Maryn blade doesn't change how it feels as drastically. I'm actually going to try putting on the Opus blade on the Maryn handles and see how that feels. Because even though the Maryn platform was created after the Maryn was discontinued, it's still backwards compatible. Anyways, though, the Opus blade I think really defines how a machine-wise knife feels. I think it feels really good on the Slift T handles because of how chunkier and heavier the Slift T handles are. But between the Trainer and the Maryn blade and the Seraph blade, I don't really like. I don't know. The Slift T blade is just lighter. It has less tip weight. But between the Seraph blade and the Trainer / Maryn blade, the difference between them, it exists, of course, because the Seraph blade is heavier, but it's not as like feel changing. Like, it doesn't make a knife feel so crazy different, in a sense. I had a Seraph with Seraph blade. It was a V1, and it had zippy lightweights that had the tungsten balls in it. And then when I switched to the Maryn one on the V2, and I sold the V1 to get this, I was a little disappointed because I'm like, oh, it doesn't. I actually prefer the way it flips. But I mean, like, look at this fucking blade. Look at this fucking blade. And then, just removing a little bit of tungsten weight from the zippy weights made it feel basically exactly how I remember it on the Seraph V1, albeit like a little lighter. Like, yeah, it's point whatever ounces lighter than a Seraph with zippy weights in, or even no weights in, maybe. But like, it feels similar enough that I'm like, yeah, this feels neutral and great, and I love it. And this is honestly just one of the best knives I've ever flipped. It's one of my favorites of all time. Opus blade is just really distinct, and so Maryn handles are just distinct in a way. I don't know. It's interesting, and obviously Dalen and MachineWise as a company is entitled to do whatever the fuck they want. But if they were to bring the Maryn handles back, the titanium Maryn handles, I don't think there's a point in doing the Maryn light handles. That's just the Prisma Pro. At this point, it's just the Prisma Pro, albeit without holes that go all the way through, I think. But like, yeah, it's just the thing. But the Maryn blade, I love the Maryn blade. It's honestly my favorite MachineWise blade. Just how it looks and how it performs, it's my favorite. The Maryn handles feel like the rest of the MachineWise lineup, aka the Seraph, the Opus, and the Prisma Pro, but with the heft of the Slift T. And the Slift T, it's boxier, it's bigger. I think it feels bigger than it actually is. These handles definitely feel thinner, but it's like, I don't know. And yeah, as a maker, he's allowed to do whatever the fuck he wants. He phased it out because he got tired of it. He wanted new things. I get it. I really do. But like, Maryn good. Maryn's just like a... Honestly, the Maryn just feels like a heavier, slightly more handle-biased Seraph. Yeah, the blade is lighter than the Seraph blade. Yeah, the handles are heavier than the Seraph handles. And instead of Chanwich, it's just channel, no fancy weight system. And it rings. So, like, I don't know. I guess the biggest things... Maryn is just Like the Opus is like kind of like the true successor of the Maryn with like the Tanto blade and like the handle design in a sense. But let's be real, like I'm gonna be super honest. The Maryn feels like a Seraph, but heavier and slightly more handle bias because the blade is lighter and the handles are heavier. But that's good. The Seraph is one of the best fucking knives ever made. I think most people agree. The Seraph is just impeccable. It is just amazing in basically every way. And yeah, you can nitpick, but like, I'm gonna be honest, it's basically everything I want in a knife. The Maryn is just like a different flavor of the Seraph in that it's heavier, but like feels good, don't it? Oop, I grazed my knuckle on that one. And like, yeah, okay, less blade weight, and more handle weight. It makes it a little bit harder for me to flip compared to like my super neutral Seraph, also on a Maryn blade. But like, you know, again, preference. I like my handles and my blade light, and I like the weight distribution really even, or at least have enough momentum that like I'm going super ham on this. I also know that this blade's not very sharp, and I can go basically equally ham on this, albeit with like slightly worse performance because, you know, I'm... Ooh, like there. Oh, shoot, my phone just fell. Rollovers are a little tricky when the blade is lighter than the handles, like so, and it doesn't have like tip weight, like a weight hotspot. I am so curious what the Maryn feels like. Maryn handles feel like with the Opus blade. So that's going to be my next video. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, give it a like. Check out all of my other Machine-Wise videos. I've done quite a few because there's just so many configurations. Even though there's, what, like 5 handle types? Prisma, Pro, Softy, Opus. Yeah, there's like 5 current handle types. And 5-ish blades. I've never tried the leaf blade. I don't know if I ever care about that one, but like... Yeah, I'm gonna be checking what the fuck does the Maryn feel like with the Opus blade. Unfortunately, I don't have a Seraph blade or a Sifty blade, or I mean the trainer blade is just gonna be a trainer Maryn. Let's be real. But we're gonna find out because the Opus blade on the Maryn handles might be fucking wild. But yeah, check those videos out. Subscribe for pseudo daily uploads. They happen when they happen, but when they do happen, let's look at all these fucking knives. Anyways, yeah, happy flipping and have a great one.